I'm not in my room. Very clearly not in my room. I'm outside on my deck. It is currently 7:36, but it's still pretty sunny out. It's not really sunny, but there's still daylight, and it was just really good weather. So I thought, why don't I take the chance when I can to record a video outside? My first ever video outside, so kind of change things up. The only downside to recording out here on my deck is that the generator to my house is like, well, not even the generator, it's like the fan, like the AC fan. It's outside, like underneath the deck. So I don't know if the mic can pick it up, but there might be like a low humming or buzzing sound. That's what it is. But as you read by the title, I'm doing music review. This is music that you guys all suggested me. So here I am. I have my iPad here with me. I have a bunch of notes down I wrote down a bunch of notes because I wanted to have a good memory of what I wanted to go over for this video, because I did get quite a lot of suggestions, so I had to write it down so I could not forget everything. But yeah, so looking at my notes, before I go start, I just want to thank everybody that gave me suggestions, because you guys definitely gave me a lot of suggestions. So yeah, thank you for that. I enjoyed it. I tried to listen to everything and try and write notes for everything that I listened to. But if I skipped your suggestion or your song, I do apologize in advance. Listening to music does take a while, and especially when you're listening to a bunch of new songs constantly, a bunch of new artists and genres and music and albums, it does get overwhelming. So I did try my best to listen to everything that you guys commented, but I might have missed a couple, so that is my bad. But yeah, let's get right into it. Now, starting off on my note sheet. This is what I'm looking at, by the way. I have my notes with the Spotify on the other side, so I can look at what I'm working with. Starting off, the first thing I reviewed was Z, the album Z by SZA. Artist name SZA. Now, this was an album review. This was the only full album review I did, because it was also the shortest. It was only 40 minutes long, I believe. So I was like, I guess I can do an entire album review for this one, but this was the only one. But this was also the only full album I was recommended to do. Starting off with the first song on the album, Your. I didn't really write much for this. I thought this was alright. It wasn't too memorable. It was just average. I guess it was a good intro song, but I can't really remember much from that song, to be honest, because it wasn't too memorable. Next song was Child's Play. I thought there was really good energy, good chemistry between SZA and Chance the Rapper. I didn't know Chance was had a song with SZA, so that was definitely interesting and surprising, because I do love Chance. So yeah, I thought they had good chemistry going back and forth. They had their verse. SZA had her verse. Chance had his, and I thought just the energy on that song was really good. And then next song was Julia, which I think is probably my favorite song. I loved it immediately. The tone and the vibe was good. It was right there. I love synths and the 80s vibes. It's amazing. I love synths, and that song was just really good. It gave off major Tory Lane's Alone at Prom album, which is an 80s, a dedicated 80s album. I don't even know if it's the time era was the 80s, but it's when it was very synth heavy with the deep bass synth booming in the back for the beat, and then just probably my favorite song off that album. It was really good. I liked it. Oh yeah, for recommendations, by the way, for synths, a really good song with synths I like is Love Your Name by Michelle, and Your is spelled U-R. it's like an indie pop, indie experimental band, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of theirs. I like their music, but they are pretty not well known. But my favorite song by them is probably Love Your Name, which is a very synth-heavy song, and I love it. But another song would be like Ideal, also by Michelle, or Guilty Conscience by 070 Shake. 070 Shake makes a lot of, she's not in a lot of Kanye songs, but Kanye does use her vocals quite a lot. When he does have features like Goes Down or Violent Crimes, Guilty Conscience is also pretty good synth heavy song. Anyway, going on from Julia by SZA. Next song was Warm Winds. I appreciated the slow, bumpy beginning. It was kind of like but I don't mean bumpy as in like it wasn't good at times. I mean bumpy as in like the beat was like groovy, because it's like a bumpy kind of thing. And then the beat switch for Isaiah's part, it reminds me kind of, the beat switch reminded me of something I'd hear on like Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment. It's a album by Chance's like Social Experiment band, and we know what's the album called? Surf. The album's called Surf, but it's by Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment, and Chance is in it, but it reminds me of like a vibe from that kind of album, the second beat, and I really did like the second half. That was my close second favorite song from the album. Next song was Hijack. I thought this was kind of meh. There wasn't much to it. It was the same throughout the entire song. I thought at some point in the song, maybe if there was like a bit more added to the beat or like to the production, maybe like a flow switch to add something more to the song to make it stand out a little more, but there wasn't really any of that, so I thought it was just kind of meh. Next song was Green Mile. That song, not really my style of music, pretty, whatever. Yeah, not my style in terms of sound. However, it was pretty good, but not much sustenance in that song, in my opinion. I did like the last 30 seconds though, because there was like another like beat switch slash like add to the beat, and I did like that, but for my style of music, it wasn't like my favorite, but I can see why a lot of people might listen to that kind of stuff. Babylon featuring Kendrick Lamar. I really like Kendrick's verse. He had a great flow throughout his verse. He had a good couple lines, but there wasn't anything serious in Kendrick's feature. Like in most of his songs or a couple of his other songs, like he's featured in a song on Pusha T's Nostalgia, and it has great, like that was one of the best features I've ever heard in general by Kendrick. If you can go on YouTube and search up like a breakdown of each like bar and like what Kendrick means, because each line and verse he delivered on that song was like super intentional. It was super clever. Or even just like his own albums, but this feature there wasn't really much depth or like other meanings to it, but I think it was a pretty good feature. In terms of production, it was kind of weird. There's a lot of different sounds that sounded, it kind of was like it shouldn't work together, but it did at the end of the day. Like at the end of in the end, even though the sounds were kind of random from one another, it still worked out, so it sounded pretty good. It's kind of reminds me of Man on Moon 2 by Kid Cudi. It wasn't to this extreme, but Cudi did have on that album a lot of experimental sounds where it's like all over the place, but it still managed to sound really good despite being like, I don't know how these 3 or 4 sounds could work together. Examples would be like the song Maniac, which is super just like random, or Trapped in My Mind, which is the second to last or the last song. No, not Maniac, I meant Ghost and Trapped in My Mind are 2 good examples from Man on Moon 2, where it's like super like unique and just like loud random sounds, but they just work together. I'm taking a lot of time on this album. I want to get through this pretty quickly because I do have a lot to get over. Sweet November, I I thought this was a very different pace and vibe from the previous 2 or 3 songs, because it was more groovy, more like upbeat kind of tempo, whereas the previous 3 were they're more like, not darker, but like kind of deeper and like slower and less upbeat. So I guess darker sound. So I thought it was pretty different. So the placement was like kind of weird, but I appreciated where it was put. Yeah, I like the jazz. It was like a jazzy kind of beat to me, and I like the way on the chorus they like held off on the beat for a little, and then they kind of let it crash down altogether, kind of like a breathing. Like you go, so like, yeah, there'd be like a pause, not a pause, but like they kind of like build up the sounds by holding it off until it kind of felt like there's too much, and then they just let it out, and then they kind of pulled it back in again. I liked all that. In terms of production, it helped create a different, it allowed the song to have a more different pace throughout, and I literally wrote Cool Jam. Shattered Ring, the second to last song, it had a pretty dramatic tone and setting to it. Second half of the song had nice synths. As I said, I'm a sucker for synths. It reminded me of like a Mike Dean kind of production, the second half, but like a much watered down, less intense Mike Dean production kind of thing. Yeah, I wrote, gives me Mike Dean vibes, but much more watered down and toned down. I like the slow build up, but there's a good tone shift, and yeah, I wrote down one of my favorites from the album. Last song, Omega, it wasn't my favorite song. It was probably one of my less like songs from the album. As a closer to the album, it kind of feels like there was more to come after this song. Like, I don't think it was a great closing song, but overall it was alright. I didn't really have much to criticize the song with. Overall, I'll give this album like I'm not trying to be like Anthony Fantano, so I'm gonna be like probably like a 7, 6.5, 7. It was like a pretty good project. There was like 2 or 3 songs where I was like, I could probably skip the song, or I wouldn't mind if it was on the album, but in terms of appreciation and like tone, vibe, and just like overall production, I give it like a 6.5 and a 7. Now next up from SZA's album, after SZA's album, I have A$AP Rocky. I was recommended a couple songs by him. First song was Sandman. I really like the production, and I love the unique vocal flow of the hook and the chorus. This song is much more darker kind of song, so it's definitely not something I would listen to like every day, but it's a good song, and I like the flow, the vibe. In terms of flow, any Rocky song has a good flow, because Rocky just has like a unique flow that's like, he has his own lane, if you know what I mean. Yeah, the song had a nice flow and a good overall vibe. And as he said in the song, rest in peace to Yams. If you don't know, A$AP Yams was the founder and creator of the A$AP group, and he passed away in, I don't remember, 2000 something. It was either late 2000s or early 2010s in that era. But yeah, rest in peace to him. I know Rocky and Ferg, I don't listen to the rest of the A$AP group, but they do pay their condolences to him pretty respectfully. Next song, Phoenix. I did hear the song already. I listened to this like 3 or 4 years ago, and I did listen to this like, not like frequently, but like occasionally. And I hadn't listened to it in a while, but listening back again, the production on the song is great. It's a more like laid back kind of production, but from like the beginning to like the chorus, something that Rocky does pretty occasionally in his songs is like, he has a more slower start or like a different paced thing from the beginning, and then the hook either is sped up or just like kind of like a opening or change in production where it's more like different from the previous sounds of the song. His wordplay and great on this. He had great bars. I couldn't dissect them all and analyze them all because I was trying to not spend too much time just like trying to just go through the lyrics. But he had great lines like, "It's a fine line between truth and lies. Jesus Christ never lied, still was crucified." He's kind of talking about how telling the truth and telling a lie, there's a very fine line, because sometimes you want to tell the truth, but the lie may seem a little more like, the lie usually seems a little more attractive, but sometimes it's better to tell a lie than the truth, because the truth can be hurtful. And yet, even if you do always tell the truth, you can still have like bad karma, bad things happen to you. God, which leads into the next verse next line where he said, "Jesus Christ never lied, and yet he was still crucified." So I thought that was a great part. Next song was Level LVL. It had a very ASAP Rocky type beat. It was psychedelic, unique beat, flow, and everything. That's all I had to say about it. It was like a good song, but I don't think it was like a great song. Definitely not like my favorite, but I think it was enjoyable to listen to. Next song I had was 100, or the way it's spelled, 143 RD. This was a great beat. I thought this had a great beat. I love the beat on this song. It was a slow, jammy, cool, continuous flow. The production was just like, I love the production, and it had like little keys. I couldn't really tell. It sounded like, I don't know the best way I could describe it. It had like little keys in the background in like parts of the songs, and it just sounded great. In terms of Rocky songs, there's not much I can say about it other than production, because like, Rocky isn't really known to have like the best bars or the best verses. He's not really known to be a lyricist. Sorry about that. There's a plane crossing overhead, and I think my neighbor is like, I don't know, there's a loud sound going on. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Where was I? Oh yeah, talking about Rocky. Rocky's overall, like, as I was saying, he's not really known to be a lyricist, but it's his flow, his cadence, like the way he raps, his like voice, and just like the pockets he picks to like say his words and whatnot. It's definitely unique, and like, it's his own thing. So yeah. Next up was Cucko. I don't really know. I listened to a couple of his songs. I didn't really listen to his like albums completely front to back, and I didn't listen to any of his Spanish songs because I tried listening to Bad Bunny, and just Spanish songs just don't hit for me for some reason. They just don't hit for me. Not for some reason. I just don't like Spanish songs because I can't understand them. So I had to even try to listen to Spanish songs, to be honest. But some songs I really liked. Lovers a Day. All the songs I picked, like I have down, they don't all sound similar, but the overall tone and vibe of their production and songs are just, they're very similar. They're all just laid back, chill, kind of like production beat type songs. The delivery that he has is more slower, kind of like a poppier kind of song. Yeah, I had Lovers a Day, which had a good vibe, flow, overall sound. There wasn't much to it, but just had good listenability. When We Meet, We Had It to End It, Rest Easy. Yeah, they were just all songs I picked. They just had good laid-back production, chill vibes. That's all I really had for this dude. I don't know how to say his name, Cucko. But yeah, he's not really like. Also, yeah, he's not much of like a lyricist or wordplay. Just like, kind of has words there for the listenability. After that, I had Arian May. Songs I liked by him. Make It. I love the piano. The piano was just a great beat, just like in the back. Super laid back. Had a slow slow pace. His delivery was also just like slow, matched the production, everything, and it was overall just like good enjoyability. Let Go. From what I could tell, this was the most popular song he had. The sample to the beat was good. I liked it. It gave off like lo-fi vibes for me, and his delivery was good. It was also kind of like slow, but he kind of picked it up at parts. But yeah, his flow and delivery definitely matched the production. Bro, these cicadas are so loud. Holy. The last song I had from him was Understood. I liked his first delivery, his flow, and it was just like a simple beat that he could rap over. Yeah, good vocal delivery on the chorus. That's all I really had to say about Arian May. I only listened to his one album. What is it? I need to find it. Yeah, Chase. I only listened to that album, Chase. And overall, like, the vibe and tones I could get from his like that album in general, it was all mostly the same. It was also just similar to the Cucko vibes, like more laid back, but instead of like singing or like a pop kind of song, it's just him rapping over the beats and the production. But it was pretty similar in terms of like laid back, slower, chiller vibes. And then last but not least, Wave to Earth. Now, I was given some songs, some recommendations, but I found out that Wave to Earth is actually, it consists of 3 dudes, and all 3 of them are from South Korea. I did not know this. I knew one song by them, but I didn't know they were all Korean. I'm also Korean, by the way, which is why I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So I listened to their one and only album they have out at the moment, which is called, where is it? 0.1, Flaws and All. And from what I could tell, my favorite song from this album was 100% Peach Eyes. Peach Eyes, I love the hook and beat. The production on this was great, and the guitar was amazing in my opinion. This was like the one song that really stood out to me and really like stuck with me. It was just super catchy and I really liked it. I had 2 other songs I wrote that I liked from this album, or from them, which was Evening Glow. It was like beautifully produced. It kind of reminded me of like a starry night sky, kind of like sitting outside on a park or like grassy grounds, listening. I really liked this song and the vibes. It was pretty immaculate. And the last song I wrote was Kala. This was one of the songs that was suggested to me. The song's like slower than the usual compared to other songs, but the guitar usage and vocals on this was amazing and great. The vocals and the guitar, and then like the slow low drums every now and then in the back, they all worked really well together. Some suggestions I had for Wave to Earth, because the reason why I didn't really like write that many songs or do a full album review on them was because their music is mostly, they have a genre. Their music is a specific genre orientated, and it's very similar. All the songs are very similar in terms of like mood and production. It's got like the guitar, and it's very, I don't want to keep saying chill, but like that's like all I can think of. It's like a chill, laid back, and more like a slow vibier kind of song, like artist genre type of thing. So I didn't really do a full album review because I just have the same notes on every song. But for those of you that liked Wave to Earth, I had some suggestions. I had Once These Cicadas Decide to Shut Up. Thank you. I had Tim Atlas. He has songs like Tangerine or what's that other song? I believe it is called Courtside. Courtside and Tangerine by Tim Atlas. They're not like super similar, but they're like very close in terms of vibes and moods. But he's much more upbeat. Meta-Moderny by Vansire. I don't know if you guys know how to spell that, but good luck spelling that. Meta-Modernity is by Vansire. I really like that song. That is probably closer to Wave to Earth than Tim Atlas, but they're both very close, like similar. And then I had Milo Winona. Okay, I need to pull up the playlist I have with these songs so I can like not mess it up in front of you guys. The song is called Winona, Winona by Milo, Miloe. This is not super similar, but it has like the same like indie kind of vibes to it. And that is it. I did have Scaring the Hose, but I did not get to listen to the full album yet because that is more of a time and place kind of album. It's not something you can just sit down and listen to in the middle of the day, in my opinion. Because from my experience with Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia, which is an insane duo in itself in terms of like the experimental music they make. So it's something I kind of need to be in the mood, the right vibe in to listen to, which I haven't found exactly just yet. Because I've been kind of busy. But once I find that pocket of time, I'll definitely listen to the full album front to back. Because I do like some experimental to a certain extent. I like Caro Bonito. That's just like, that's like very different. It's kind of like, it's almost silly. Their music's almost silly, but I love their music. And then there's Death Grip. I don't really listen to Death Grip very often, but I have listened to a couple of their albums. Not completely, because it was not something I could just like sit down and listen to all the way, but I do like some Death Grip songs, but I'm not super into Death Grip, which is why when I say I'm into experimental music, I'm not like super into experimental. I like it to a certain point. But yeah, my music tastes everywhere. Some other suggestions I have for you guys in general. Dayglow, they make some great like pop, indie pop kind of music. Close to You, that's very popular actually, so you guys probably heard it. Was It Something I Said? This is by Mikey featuring Cave Down. Also by Cave Down, he has a song called Cave Down. What's the song name? Home. He has a song called Home. It's kind of slow in the beginning, but it builds up, and I think it's very enjoyable. I think you guys should just check out the indie pop band Michelle. I love them. They currently only have 2 projects out, but my favorite songs by them are Love Your Name. I'm gonna go to the artist so I can do some specific checkouts. The Bottom, one of their popular songs. Sunrise. This was the first song I ever heard by Michelle that really got me into them. This is on the same album, Heat Wave, but on the other album, songs I'd like to recommend. Pose. It's a good groovy jam kind of song. Pose. Syncopate. Yeah. In terms of hip hop, because I did get hip hop specific recommendations. My recommendations for hip hop would be, in terms of production, more production focused, I'd recommend Crossfaded or Swanging on a Westheimer. They're both by Don Toliver from his album Life of a Dawn. They're both beautifully produced production songs. I believe both by I love them. I told you I love my synths, especially Mike Dean synths. He makes great like production songs. But yeah, Crossfaded and Swinging on a Westheimer, they're both great, like late night, slow driving kind of songs. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have any suggestions for hip hop songs. I just had songs for more like indie or like slower, like pop kind of songs. Yeah, I don't really have many. I wasn't really prepared to suggest any hip hop songs. Oh, Dreams, Fairy Tales, and Fantasy by A$AP Ferg featuring Brent Faiyaz. It's a great, slow, almost like an R&B kind of song. If you guys are into it, this is also like a late night drive, similar to the previous 2 hip hop songs I just recommended. All 3 of the songs I just recommended for rap, they're all like kind of late night, slow driving songs. 4422 by Drake featuring Sampha. Sampha is a great artist, and any song he's featured in just makes it so much better. His voice is super unique, super great. And yeah, I think that'll be all for my music review for today. I'm gonna link a collaborative playlist if you guys want to check that out, probably in the description in the comments below. Just click the link, it'll be an invite, you can join it, upload, or like just add songs that you like to recommend. It's a collab, just like on a song that you like everybody else to listen to, maybe something you like to put them on to. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave me some more recommendations in the comments or in future videos as well. I'll be sure to check them out, and I'll probably make another music reviews video in the future, similar to this one, just giving my thoughts and opinions on your songs, and maybe hopefully spread some more music recommendations for you guys. And yeah, hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Hopefully it wasn't too loud out here. Maybe I'll make another video outside before I go back to school. And yeah, I love you all. Stay safe.